training, and equipment maintenance. Our 30 volunteers, consisting of all ranks within the fire service, dedicate time away from their families and jobs to support the career staff in times of emergency, as well as attending training and public education events. The average volunteer devotes well over 200 hours a year in training. Our volunteers are alerted of emergency incidents by a radio pager and either respond directly to the scene or stop by one of the fire stations to staff additional emergency vehicles. In 2007, our volunteers were alerted to 279 calls out of the 1,020 that we handled. Our emergency calls are dispatched via the radio from CAL FIRE's Howard Forest Emergency Command Center through the countywide fire and EMS contract. Ukiah Valley Fire provides basic life support, emergency medical response, including heart defibrillation, with Ukiah Ambulance, the private company, providing advanced life support and ambulance transport. Through emergency medical dispatching, or EMD, provides a tiered emergency medical response based on national standards and pre-arrival instructions to the 911 caller. In 2007, this tiered response, based on those national standards, reduced the fire district's responses to medical calls by approximately 120 times. That's 120 non-emergency calls, 120 less times that a fire engine had to respond with lights and sirens, which is a safer and more efficient use of our limited resources. Ukiah Valley Fire District also provides hazardous materials response as part of the Redwood Empire Hazardous Incident Team, known as REHIT, and the REHIT Unit 9555 is housed at the CAL FIRE Ukiah North Station. We also are the host agency of COM 11, which is a law enforcement grant-funded 35-foot customized pull trailer used as a countywide as an interoperable self-contained mobile communications center, and it's just wrapping up a 30-day assignment with the Lightning series. Our board of directors meets in public session on the second Wednesday of every month at 7 p.m. at our South Station. Again, I want to thank you, the board, for implementing fire mitigation fees in October 2006 on the recommendation of the ad hoc committee with members Wattenberger and then Board of Supervisor Wagonette. Why we're here today is we got to a point that with planning new development in the district, should new development pay their fair share towards fire protection facilities and equipment needed as a result of that new development? And whether your position is no growth, slow growth, or pro-growth, it's hard to argue that new development should pay their fair share for added fire facilities and equipment. What is that fair share? And it wasn't an easy question to answer. And that's why it was, in the 12 years I've been associated with the Ukiah Valley Fire District, we had to hire our first consultant to answer that question. And we contracted through an RFP process with PMC. Today, Jerome Fournier with PMC is here with me to determine what is that fair share. And through analysis and options, we looked at various potential fees for industrial, commercial, and residential growth. And the report before you will show you that we've kind of lumped it into one rate to encompass all. It was interesting to find out that even with the new proposed facilities, that not all of it will be funded by new development. That 30% was calculated at 30% of the new facilities and equipment will still have to be funded by the current residents of the district. We drafted our resolution, opened it for public hearing. At our public hearing, the Employers Council, represented by John Graff, spoke, and his general theme was no fee is a good fee, and that accumulation of fees is bad for business and bad for growth. And again, we reminded him that we are a single-purpose district. Fire protection is our only concern. The Builders Exchange, represented by both Eric Crane and Lee Howard, followed with that theme of the cumulative effect of the fees being considered by the County Board of Supervisors, and gave the example of Petaluma's fees. Is that where we were heading? He also had a list of questions that we referred them to the PMC consultant, and the Builders Exchange and Employers Council did have follow-up discussions with them. We did also, at their request, continue our public hearing for 1 month and continued it to respond to additional comments. We did receive a letter from Norbar Realtors that was CC'd to the Board of Supervisors, and based on their recommendation and a recommendation from Lee Howard, the board did add, after the public, or during the second public hearing, that we exempted additions and accessory buildings not exceeding 500 square feet to the fees. And we went into it with the premise that any new growth, any new added square footage was an incremental impact to the fire district. And so we started it with that every added square foot would then require a fee. Again, after reconsidering that, and it was argued that the residents of the district have been paying these special taxes possibly for years, that they should be some consideration, and that's the consideration that the fire district board ultimately came to, is exempting that 500 square feet of addition and or accessory building per parcel. We do have an administrative charge of 4 cents a square foot added on to the recommended 39 cents, and that's really to recoup the study, the cost of the study. And as a note, it will take 625,000 square feet of admin costs to recoup our consultants' fees. So it's going to be a long time before we recoup those fees. I'd like to thank the County Council for drafting the original ordinance on behalf of the fire districts, and the Clerk of the Board for assisting us getting through all the hoops here to land us here today in front of you. And at this time, I again introduce Jerome Fenier from PMC. Thank you.
Thank you. Is that working now?
Yep.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Chairman, members of the board, thank you very much for having us here. And I would like to commend you on your foresight in adopting the ordinance that allows the fire districts to go through this process. You're one of the first counties in the state to have actually done that. Most counties have the fire districts go through the program, and then the counties adopt an ordinance basically adopting their fee. You've basically taken the bull by the horns and gone first and allowed the fire districts, if they have the foresight to go forward, allow them to do that. And I commend you on that foresight on your part. In your packet, you had received a report that we prepared, dated May 14th, 2008, titled The Capital Fires Facilities and Equipment Plan Fee Report. And that report outlines in detail how we derived the fee that Chief Grable described at 39 cents a square foot. And I won't bore you with the minute details of that, but if you would go to table number 1.2, which is a comparison of the development impact fees around the state, in particular around Northern California, Lake County in particular, and some of the other areas nearby, you'll see that this fee that's proposed is very much in line with the fees, and in fact much lower than some of the neighboring communities, in particular Lake County, which has a similar geography that you have in a certain way in terms of demographics. So I'd let you look at that. Basically, we used a particular method called the master plan method in developing the impact fee, and this plan looked at what facilities are needed in the future to accommodate the growth that's going to take place, as well as looking at present growth. According to state law, we cannot apply all of the new the cost of all of the new facilities to new development. There is a cost that's applied to existing development, and